Well, guys, other than my throat, which is getting a little better, the sad news is we're going to be playing the next 2 to 3 weeks without Denzel. Last night he went up to make a layup, actually, and just felt a little something, and I guess a little piece of cartilage, chipped off, and it's just a small chip. He had surgery at 7 this morning to remove it. It was very successful. There's no long-term, but it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks just because they had to arthroscopically go in and do it. And I feel it worse for Zell, to be honest with you. He's having such a good year, and he's put so much into his senior year. But like some other guys, including Mateen Cleaves and, Dawson and Payne and guys that go through this, as he said, his dad said, he's had a pretty blessed season so far, and this I don't think is going to change it in any way, shape, or form, but it does, create a missing link. I tried to, as I always do, compare it to football and thought about our quarterback, but one problem is that's 1 of 22, and it would be like a quarterback that had to throw the ball, run the ball, catch the ball, make the tackles, be the defensive back. He's been a pretty special player for us. The good news is when we were over in Italy, I sat him the whole fourth quarter of the game against Germany. We came back from 12 down, and that's the first thing he said, we can play without me. Against Florida, the first thing he said in the locker room was, guys, I was awful today, and you guys saved me. He was crushed last night when we found out, actually late last night. But at the same time, we're just going to have to learn. This will be a new challenge, a new chapter for us. We've got a lot of guys. We've talked about our depth. We've won games when he hasn't played well. It's just one of those things. This has become an opportunity for our other guys, which I think is key. We'll see if the guys that want to step up and talked about stepping up now will step up. The other area that'll, somebody's going to have to step up, and I think Tom's ready to do that, is in our leadership. He was not only our best player, but our best leader. And Oakland has turned into a very big game. I'm sure that you get tired of hearing this from me, but they went out and demolished Washington. Kind of like when we played Texas Southern last year. They brought Martez Walker off the ineligible list because he wasn't eligible to play until that game. First game he played and he started. And first start he had 18 points. So it's an excellent offensive team. Fielder is among one of the nation's best leaders in scoring, assists, and the addition of Walker gives them another dynamic scorer, shooter option to an already solid, good team. I talked to my nephew down at Georgia who has played them 4 to 5 times, I think, and said it's by far their best team, and that was without Walker, who, as I said, had 18 in the first game. With Drew on their staff, Valentine, I think they'll know everything about us, but we know a lot about them too. And, that's not going to be any surprises. The good news is I hear we're playing in front of a capacity crowd there. And reminds me back in 2000, when we played down there, it was full house. We played Bowling Green down there. It was a packed house when we were one in the country of that year. So it should be a terrific environment, and we're going to have to, in one day, prepare without Denzel. But this team, as I said, has had a play when he's had 1 or 2 bad games, but maybe my most worry is our rebounding. He's our best rebounder, and some guy's going to have to step it up in that area. So, a lot of questions, I'm sure, but go ahead and fire away.
Probably different questions than 10 minutes ago. You said a cartilage injury. Where is the cartilage injury?
It's on his knee.
It's on his knee, okay.
Yeah, and it's to be honest with you guys, it's very, very, very minor. If you remember, Suton had it and only missed 2 weeks. It's a little, but we couldn't leave it in there because then when it moves around, it could not bother him for a week and then really bother him just on how it moves. So we did the best for him at the present, him in the future, us in the future, and figuring us right now isn't as critical as us in the future as far as making a decision that was best for him and his dad and myself. And he and the doctors met later last night, and they were able to get him in at 7 this morning, so he's already had surgery and he's home resting, and everything went better than good as far as that goes.
Tom, Denzel's injury aside, you guys have played Oakland very close in the past. That 2010 game kind of pops out in memory. So just to use a football comparison, does Tuesday kind of give off a bowl game atmosphere just with Washington's big game, you guys coming off a big game and just playing in front of that sellout crowd?
I think it will be. It'll be a big game. I mean, they're good. Watching them against Washington, I know Valparaiso's pretty good, but I'd say they're going to be picked to win their league. I don't think anybody realized that Walker, there was some question whether he was back or not. And, I still think that Northeastern will win their league. So just because they're not Power 6 conference teams, they're NCAA teams in my mind. And there's no question that Campy told me this summer he thought it would be his best team. And I think he's right. And what does that mean? I don't know. But we still got to play the game, and we got to find a way to win the game. And that's what we're going down there to do.
Sure, you're still going through all this, but adjusting without Denzel, what are some of the things? And I know the end of the game is more important than the start of the game, but do you know what you'll do right away?
Well, like I said, we're going to put Aaron Harris into the lineup, and he's been waiting, and maybe it'll be a shot in the arm for him. But I think the bigger issue, we have enough guys that can score the ball, is you got to be pretty good defensively, but he wasn't the best rebounding guard. He's almost the best rebounding player in the Big Ten. And that's going to be, somebody's got to step up in that area. And it might be a guard, it might be a forward, it might be Dede. Gavin's practiced half today. He's back, but he's not back to play any significant minutes. But I think Dede had his best practice of the year, so we'll get him ready to go.
Tom, I'm just walking into this, but as you're talking, I'm thinking, oh, no, not again. How frustrated are you that you can't seem to get through a season without injuries?
Neither can anybody else. Michigan went through it last year, went through it some this year. Our football team went through it. Every NBA team's going through it. I think the realization of things is kids are getting injured more. We can argue what the reasons are. This one, unfortunately or fortunately, wasn't the physical play of practice or even the amount. We only went an hour last night. But it's, some of it wear and tear, some of it this and that, who knows. But it's happening all over, and you just got to deal with it. And, as I said, it's not many times in my career, even when Cleves went down, you missed that quarterback thing. But on Denzel, you're missing more things because his versatility has caused the triple doubles and all those things is what you miss. And besides that, he's our best locker room hotel guy. So I feel comfortable that Tom will take over that category, and who takes over the others, it'll be interesting to see.
Going back to football for a second, clearly nobody would want this to happen. I'm not implying that. But D'Antonio said when injuries come, it's for a coach, the advantage is you can watch how guys handle adversity and maybe you learn about some guys. Are you, obviously you didn't want this to happen, but are you looking at the silver lining being now maybe you can see some? Well,
I'm going to see what an Aaron Harris or what a Elvin Ellis or what, might even be a Kyle Arns or it could be a Matt McQuaid playing more at the 2. I'm looking forward to that. I say the difference with ours is sometimes it's plugging into one position. We're almost plugging into a multi-position guy. So you're not going to get a guy that's going to do that. Maybe we'll get a guy that'll make more shots. Maybe we'll get a guy that rebounds more. But the combination of things is going to be a little more difficult. But I am looking forward to it. I really am. I'm looking forward to see who steps up, who doesn't, whether Matt Costello steps up a little bit more. It was interesting watching Didi today, and Tom, he's on a mission on his own, and so yeah, I am, and I'm looking forward to it, and I've seen a little bit of it, but you'll get the other side of it too in basketball, where some guys will be more nervous, and you got to make shots in that. It's different than a down lineman or a linebacker. So, I'm actually going to talk to Mark this afternoon and just, how he approached it. I think got a good learning aid right in front of us. We did have the Payne and Dawson thing 2 years ago, which we, got through, but it wasn't pretty. But that was two guys. So we'll be fine. We got enough depth, and just got to find a way to win a game. You're too lucky.
Could this mean more point guard minutes for Matt McQuaid, too? And what have you seen for him as far as running the point and doing that sort of thing?
More point guard what? I'm sorry.
Minutes for Matt McQuaid. And
I don't know if it'll be more point guard minutes. It'll be maybe more minutes. It might be more two guard minutes, because depending on our shooting in that, he's a kid that can really shoot it. And that's playoff Hondo's question. That's one thing that, I've said we haven't played Tom and Matt together much. And I think, Matt gets hurt. We haven't played Tom and Aaron together as much. I think Aaron gets hurt because Matt's not as good at that area. So, it's just going to be, 1 hour and a half practice. I can't tell you everything, but, we have, won some games when Zell hasn't played his best, and we're just going to have to figure out a way to do that. I think his words were better than mine when he thanked the team in the Florida game, because he thought that they did a better job than he did. But his presence is worth something too, and it is what it is, guys. We're just going to go down there and play the game.
Question I was going to ask before all this is about this roster and how unique this team has been for you. I don't think you've had one quite like this with this many options. And wondering if there was any other team that you've been able to look at, other teams in the past or this year that that could compare.
Our 05 team was a lot. I mean, it might have even been better, because what we have is we have options. We have a great player in Denzel, and we have a lot of good players. That team, had 3 or 4 pros on it. You had a kid like Torbert and Hill who had incredible experience. Then you had Ager and Brown, who were first-round draft picks. You had Alan Anderson, who is still playing in the pros. You had Neitzel, who was a very, so we had maybe 6 guards on that team that I'd say were, our level here isn't as high right now, but maybe it'll get higher as we play more guys and as they get an opportunity to play with other guys. It's been unique. It's been that team that year, too. We didn't have the injuries we've had with some of our guys that have kept them out of it. And, that's made a difference, too. So I'm looking for, this Kenny Goins step up a little bit more. His nose is getting better, although he banged it today. But and I'm really looking to see if Harris and McQuaid and maybe Ellis can step up and do some things. Ellis stepped up the Michigan game last year or 2 years ago and had 12 points as a freshman. And we got to do maybe the other thing I learned from football. So don't worry about as much about the offensive skill part of it. Let's just get tougher defensively. And if we have to win a game ugly, we got to win a game ugly. We just figure we got to win a game. But if our defense is good, our fast break is good. We still have the athletes to finish on the fast break. So, we'll miss a little bit in rebounding. We'll miss a little bit with some of his great passes. But not going to bring him back. So we're just going to start moving forward and worry about it, feel bad for him. It was very difficult on him. He put a lot into this year. But got enough other guys, I'll have Cleves call him, and he missed 3 months. And some of the other guys. So just a bump in the road that he's going to get through, and I think he'll get through it fine. There's not even a thought of any lasting effects on this. So the positive news is, as the doctor, when he called early this morning, said, whatever the best case scenario on something like this is, he's got the best case scenario.
Tom, I go back to, again, a few weeks ago when you said adversity is going to come for this team. And I'm just wondering.
What profit?
Right. What was the reaction of the rest of the guys when they heard? And this, in the strange way, is this almost kind of like a way for a championship team to kind of build, because you got to go through?
Well, I think you do got to go through some stuff. Again, we learned that in football, and we've seen so many examples. When the Giants won it, they had a terrible record. They were injured all year, So, I can look at that, and I do think it builds some character in everybody. Everybody's got to step up a little bit more, and it's, as you all said, it's nothing you wish on anybody, but somehow you got to make a positive out of a negative. And really that falls on me and my staff. We got to make a positive out of a negative, and try to put people in the best position we can put them in to be successful. A little harder in a one-day turnaround. I mean, we didn't find out till, I don't know, it was 8 o'clock last night, and I had an 8:30 meeting with my team on a little film session, so that's when they found out. And they were, they felt bad for him. And but he talked to the team last night, and, once in front of us and once without the coaches there. And I think he delivered a good message on what they got to do, and I think they all respect him enough to do it.
So obviously not ideal with Denzel going out, but ideal in terms of timing, having the Oakland game before Big Ten play and a competitive Oakland team to have some guys actually have to figure.
I mean, we're going to have to beat them. We're not playing somebody. I mean, it's hard to talk to fans or media. Like, it's hard to talk to your players because you don't want to overbuild up one team. If you would have told me we were going to win by 20 at Northeastern, I'd have told you you're crazy. Okay, and it was a very competitive game for the first almost half, But this team is, Eastern Michigan was, I thought, going to be a pretty good team. They were missing a player, and that hurt them a little bit. But it's different than the couple of teams we played that didn't have a chance to win, or a very good chance. This is a team that will be better than some teams we might play in our league. I'm treating this as an NCAA team, and so I don't know if that's good or bad with one-day prep to do that in as far as getting our guys ready. But that's the beauty of basketball. That's what you got to do, and we'll see what happens.
You seem to enjoy playing at the Palace. Is that all tied to the memory that was created there in 2000, or is it just playing in front of Detroit people, or what?
I like to play in front of people that don't get to see us play, and I think what happens is a lot of our alums that don't get season tickets or aren't able to see us here get to play down there. It's a great arena when it's packed. I think it's a great place to play. It's a pro arena. That's always exciting, and for me, I love going down to Detroit. I really do. So I think all those things I just said, you could double compound that win down there, that weekend win, because to me that just brought all the good memories of what it's like to play down there. And so we played pretty well down there most of the time, including the NCAA tournament games we played. But I don't think when you go to different teams, it doesn't have anything to do with it. These guys didn't play in 2000. Scary thing is some of them were just born. But it's still, it's good memories for me, and I think for Michigan State people in general.
Tom, about Dede, he came in with such high expectations, and fans look at Kentucky, but that's not realistic for most freshman players. I mean, you seem to be very happy with his development. Would you talk about where he is?
I'm ecstatic with his development. I'm seeing him now going leaps and bounds. As dumb as it sounds, today's practice, he was one of the better players on the floor, and he's growing as a person too. I mean, he finished up finals. That was a tough week for him. Okay, and the word is he did pretty well. I mean, I see him growing. It's a lot of fun for me. He's starting to talk. He's talking more than he ever did. I take great pride in that because we're badgering him every day about it. But, as you saw one of the Kentucky freshmen, the French, the name, he's struggling. I said it, and I tell John this to his face. They ruined what freshmen are because a couple of those years he had such good freshmen. On normal years, they would have been in the NBA if there wasn't a rule there. And I think everybody expects every freshman. And Didi's been hurt a little bit that we can't play those two together until now because we got Gavin back and we're so paranoid on foul trouble. So I think you're going to see Didi take major steps. I absolutely have enjoyed the hell out of him, and he's coming along. He's starting to communicate. He's starting to pick up things better. I'm giddy over him to a certain extent. I just like what he's doing.
Curious what your assessment of Khalil Felder was coming out of Pershing. He seemed like everybody thought he was a mid-major prospect. He's obviously played above that. What you saw in him and what he's kind of become?
Well, he's become so much stronger even. He's just a bull of a guard now, and his strength has caused him to be able to shoot those step-back threes. And if he gets it going, he can get it going. Plus, right now, he can drive right or left. So, it's harder to guard guys right now with the new rules. I think you look at the same guy last year is a better player this year. I think that's some of the reason. He's got more freedom to do more things, and he's a good passer. He's a good free throw shooter. You're right. He stepped his game up. I think you got to give Greg, his staff, credit. I think you got to give the kid credit, and I think that's what happens if you get better each year and you're there for a while. He's a good player, really good player. Jalen Hayes from here is playing really well right now, and had 17 rebounds in that game against. Washington was 7-3. I don't think they were, a great team, but man, they were up 26, 24 points in that game on the road.
Tom, talking to players on Saturday, the wins record to start the season really seems to mean a lot to them, especially the veterans. How do you sense they're kind of approaching this, and is that kind of a motivating factor for them, do you think?
Well, that was, it's other sad part. That meant a real lot to Denzel, but I do think it means something to these players. When you sit there and look at somebody and you think of who's played here, and you think of Magic, of course, and Kelser, and then you think of Skiles and Vincent, and then you think of Smith, and then you think of Cleaves, and and that great team in 2005, and then of course Day-Day's group, and nobody's done it. You can set a record that none of them accomplished. And we've played a schedule that's probably better than a lot of those teams ever played when you look at our non-conference schedule this year and the travel. It's something that's important to them, and that's good. It's good to have goals within the big picture. It really is. It's good to accomplish something and try to meet some, like the winning the preseason championship tournament, that we played in, like the one in Chicago. That was a goal. Those are my mini goals in the big picture of things. But I think when you accomplish that, you learn how to accomplish something. And so right now, that's a big thing to these guys. But if you flip it around, that's a big thing to Oakland to stop. And it works both ways. And sometimes I think things like that become a burden on you. I've not seen that at all. I don't think it's a burden on them. I think it's just something that they would like to accomplish, something that other of their peers didn't accomplish.
Time for one or two more if there are.
Yeah, well, sorry about we really didn't hide anything either. It was, it all happened late last night. We found out late that we could get him into surgery. Doctors did an unbelievable job to get him in there early this morning, because I think every day we save is going to be a good on something like this that seems to be absolutely no long-term effect, or it's just a matter of the swelling. If, he swells like Dawson, he could be ready in 2 days. It's not going to happen. But I mean, some guys swell up more than others. BJ was one that didn't swell at all, and that helps the recovery process. And on one that's not real fast, so the next couple of days I think we'll know a little bit more on how he's coming. But we're not going to rush it either. He's got too much ahead of him to do that. And we're just going to make an educated medical decision that won't be made by me. I'll just be in the room shaking my head one way or another. Is that? Yeah, it'll be after that. It'll be, 2 to 3 weeks. I'm guessing somewhere around the 8th, the 10th, the 12th. I don't know who we play. Illinois, Penn State after that. And 3 of those 4 are on the road.
Tom, still no decision on Cotton Bowl?
No. We are working on things, but no, right now I got other things to try to decide on, but maybe it'd be good for me or team building. Maybe it would be good to get some rest. We'll just kind of weigh it, see how the weekend goes here, and then make some decisions. I appreciate it, guys.